right, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Bless the most holy, we are here one more day. That's not yesterday. 86. All right, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. It is February the 7th, 2021, day 71 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And the 3-year consecutive day count, day 740, 740. All right, beautiful people. So today we are in number 16, 17, and 18. So let's go ahead and get started here with the Shema. That's up here. All right. All right. Remember, the Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, He is one God. And you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our God, for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah, our God, as He has promised us. Great rising, Shayla. That's Wabu, cousin. Okay, let's close this out. I already got that. Boom. All right. Let us go ahead with Numbers chapter 16. All right. Oh, that's good. Okay. I'm just adjusting my screens real quick. Adjust. Whoop. Okay, these adjusting screens. Okay. Here we go. Numbers chapter 16. Oh, I remember water. I did. Okay. One day, Korah, son of Ishar, a descendant of Kohath, son of Levi, conspired with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, from the tribe of Reuben. They incited a rebellion against Moses, along with 250 other leaders of the community, all prominent members of the assembly. They united against Moses and Aaron and said, "You have gone too far. The whole community of Israel has been set apart by Yahuwah, and He is with all of us. What right do you have to act as though you are greater than the rest of Yahuwah's people?" Apparently, they didn't get the memo with what happened to Miriam, right? Shalom, shalom, mother. They did not get the memo. Here they go again with the shenanigans. It's a whole section on Dathan and Abiram and the rebellion that Korah incited amongst the people. When we get to that, y'all, listen here. I'm telling you. If they nobody know, they definitely knew then. When Moses heard what they were saying, he fell face down on the ground. Then he said to Korah and his followers, "Tomorrow morning, Yahuwah will show us who belongs to him and who is holy. Yahuwah will allow only those whom he selects to enter his own presence. Korah, you and all your followers must prepare your incense and burners. Light fires in them tomorrow and burn incense before Yahuwah. Then we will see who Yahuwah chooses as his holy one. You Levites are the ones who have gone too far." Then Moses spoke against Korah. "Now listen, you Levites. Does it seem insignificant to you that the God of Israel has chosen you from among all the community of Israel to be near him so you can serve in Yahuwah's tabernacle and stand before Yahuwah and stand before the people to minister to them? Are you looking for something?
Who ate my New York cheesecake?
Oh, snap.
I had the whole...
It was one in there. I did. I had one slice. But all like... them other 18 slices, you might want to check with the Mini Murphys. Yeah.
I think you had more than one slice.
No, I don't like cheesecake like that for real.
But you ate one.
I did. I ate one. Two. I said like that. That's why I only had one slice.
I offered it to you in the beginning. You said I don't like it.
I didn't.
You wait for me to leave the house before you eat my food. I think you eat all my food up, man. I think you be eating my food
No.
I think you eat my stuff.
No, I didn't.
Tell the truth and shame them.
I did have one slice.
I think you had more than one slice.
Father.
Don't act holy now. You ate my
I only had one slice, for real. I ain't like it like that.
Why you keep saying like that, but you ate a whole slice?
Because it was a tiny slice.
Pamela.
Look, I need to...
It was regular slices like the rest of them. What you mean tiny?
But they were cut small. I had one little slice.
It ain't no pizza. It was a cheesecake. New York style cheesecake, man.
Listen, you are interrupting my morning reading, husband. When Moses heard what they were saying, he fell face down on the ground. Then he said,
Pam said she got to finish her read.
Then he said to Korah and his followers, tomorrow morning, Yahuwah will show us who belongs to him and who is holy. Yahuwah will only...
You're going to get my cheesecake later on.
Listen, stop. Yahuwah will allow only those whom he selects to enter his own presence. Korah, you and all your followers must prepare your incense burners. Light fires in them tomorrow and burn incense before Yahuwah. Then we will see whom Yahuwah chooses as his holy one. You Levites are the ones who have gone too far. I'm sorry, y'all. Girl. I know, right? Seriously, there was like 12 slices in a cheesecake. Me and Bella going out today and get a little doing a little mama daughter mani-pedi. We'll pick them up another cheesecake. Then Moses spoke again to Korah. Now listen, you Levites, does it seem insignificant to you that the God of Israel has chosen you from among all the community of Israel to be near him so you can serve in Yahuwah's tabernacle and stand before the people to minister to them? Korah, he has already given this special ministry to you and your fellow Levites. Are you now demanding the priesthood as well? Yahuwah is the one you and your followers are really revolting against. For who is Aaron that you are complaining about him? Grand rising. Then Moses summoned Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they replied, we refuse to come before you. Isn't it enough that you brought us out of Egypt, a land flowing with milk and honey, to kill us here in the wilderness? And now that you treat us like your subjects, what's more, you haven't brought us into another land flowing with milk and honey. You haven't given us a new homeland with fields and vineyards. Are you trying to fool these men? We will not come. But they already know why they couldn't go in there, right? Then Yahuwah said, stop them. Turn them around. They're not following directions. Remember, because yesterday we read it was right there at the door. They sent the man into the land to spy it out, but you said no, because they started complaining. They don't believe I'm going to be able to save them from the inhabitants of the land. Ain't none of them going except for Joshua and Caleb. Did we not just read that? They the reasons why they can't go in. Then Moses became very angry and said to Yahuwah, do not accept their grain offerings. I have not taken so much as a donkey from them, and I have never hurt a single one of them. And Moses said to Korah, you and all your followers must come here tomorrow and present yourselves before Yahuwah. Aaron will be here also. You and each of your 250 followers must prepare an incense burner and put incense on it so you can all present them before Yahuwah. Aaron will also bring his incense burner. So each of these men prepared an incense burner, lit the fire, and placed incense on it. Then they all stood at the entrance of the tabernacle with Moses and Aaron. Meanwhile, Korah had stirred up the entire community against Moses and Aaron, and they all gathered at the tabernacle entrance. Then the glorious presence of Yahuwah appeared to the whole community, and Yahuwah said to Moses and Aaron, "Get away from all these people so that I may instantly destroy them." But Moses and Aaron fell face down on the ground. "Oh, Yah," they pleaded, "you are the God who gives breath to all creatures. Must you be angry with all the people when only one man sins?" And Yahuwah said to Moses, "Then tell all the people to get away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." So Moses got up and rushed over to the tents of Dathan and Abiram, followed by the elders of Israel. "Quick," he told the people, "get away from the tents of these wicked men and don't touch anything that belongs to them. If you do, you will be destroyed for their sins." So all the people stood back from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Then Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the entrances of their tents together with their wives and children and little ones. I'm like, man, you just got your whole household in trouble, man. Shalom, shalom. And Moses said, "This is how you will know that Yahuwah has sent me to do these things that I have done, for I have not done them on my own. If these men die a natural death, or if nothing unusual happens, then Yahuwah has not sent me. But if Yahuwah does something entirely new, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them and all their belongings, and they go down alive into the grave, then you will know that these men have shown contempt for Yahuwah." He had hardly finished speaking the words when the ground suddenly split open beneath them. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed the men along with their households and all their followers who were standing with them and everything they owned. So they went down alive into the grave, along with all their belongings. The earth closed over them, and they all vanished from among the people of Israel. All the people around them fled when they heard their screams. "The earth will swallow us too," they cried. Then fire blazed forth from Yahuwah and burned up the 250 men who were offering incense. And Yahuwah said to Moses, "Tell Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, to pull all the incense burners from the fire, for they are holy. Also, tell him to scatter the burning coals. Take the incense burners of these men who have sinned at the cost of their lives and hammer the metal into a thin sheet to overlay the altar. Since these burners were used in Yahuwah's presence, they have become holy. Let them serve as a warning to the people of Israel." And what we'll find out, y'all, when we read about Dathan and Abiram, and we'll be coming upon shortly, it didn't just boom open and swallow them like that. What you'll find out is that to me it seemed like it was quicksand, because they were screaming like the whole place where all of them were standing, they all began to sink slowly into the ground. They were struggling to get out. I was like, oh, that sounds like quicksand, but everything that belongs to them, everything sunk slowly down into the ground until you couldn't see them anymore. If you ever seen quicksand or watch movies and how it acts, that's what happened to these jokers, right? Okay. So Eleazar the priest collected the 250 bronze incense burners that had been used by the men who died in the fire, and the bronze was hammered into a thin sheet to overlay the altar. This would warn the Israelites that no unauthorized person, no one who was not a descendant of Aaron, should ever enter Yahuwah's presence to burn incense. If anyone did, the same thing would happen to him as happened to Korah and his followers. So Yahuwah's instructions to Moses were carried out. But the very next morning, the whole community of Israel began muttering against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the Lord's people." As the community gathered to protest against Aaron and Moses, they turned toward the tabernacle and saw that the cloud had covered it, and the glorious presence of Yahuwah appeared. I be like, y'all see, Daddy home again. Y'all always in trouble. As soon as they said it, right? Moses and Aaron came and stood in front of the tabernacle, and Yahuwah said to Moses, Get away from all these people so that I can instantly destroy them. Like, he's like, you should have let me destroy them yesterday when I first said so. Then you pleaded for everybody except for Dathan and Abiram, and I look what they're doing again today. And Moses said to Aaron, quick, take an incense burner and place burning coals on it from the altar. Lay incense on it and carry it out among the people to purify them and make them right with Yahuwah. Yahuwah's anger is blazing against them, and the plague has already begun. Aaron did as Moses told him and ran out among the people. The plague had already begun to strike down the people, but Aaron burned the incense and purified the people. He stood between the dead and the living, and the plague stopped. Well, 14,700 people died in that plague, in addition to those who had died in the affair involving Korah. Then, because the plague had stopped, Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tabernacle. All right, y'all, we're going to move on to the next chapter. Peace and blessings. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read this comment. What you say? Trying not to throw you off topic, but does the other book mention anything about Abel and the gate of the Most High screaming justice day and night to the seeds of Canaan can be wiped out? Oh, it does talk about his blood crying out. I'm gonna have to look at that again. There was something else about his blood crying out from the ground. There was a little bit more detail. I have to find it. When I find it, I'll post it in the comment section for today. All right, let's see. Y'all, let's go to the next chapter of Numbers. Oh, okay. Numbers chapter 17. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, tell the people of Israel to bring you 12 wooden staffs, one from each leader of Israel's ancestral tribes, and inscribe each leader's name on his staff. Inscribe Aaron's name on the staff on the tribe of Levi, for there must be one staff for the leader of each ancestral tribe. Place these staffs in the tabernacle in the front of the ark, containing the tables of the covenant where I meet with you. Buds will sprout on the staff belonging to the man I choose. Then finally put an end to the people's murmuring and complaining. Then I will finally put an end to the people's murmuring and complaining against you. So Moses gave the instructions to the people of Israel, and each of the 12 tribal leaders, including Aaron, brought Moses a staff. Moses placed the staff in Yahuwah's presence in the tabernacle of the covenant. When he went into the tabernacle of the covenant the next day, he found that Aaron's staff, representing the tribe of Levi, had sprouted, budded, blossomed, and produced ripe almonds. When Moses brought all the staffs out of Yahuwah's presence, he showed them to the people. Each man claimed his own staff, and Yahuwah said to Moses, place Aaron's staff permanently before the Ark of the Covenant to serve as a warning to rebels. This should put an end to their complaints against me and prevent any further deaths. So Moses did as Yahuwah commanded him. Then the people of Israel said to Moses, look, we are doomed. We are dead. We are ruined. Everyone who even comes close to the tabernacle of Yahuwah dies. Are we all doomed to die? Like, no, if y'all just follow directions, you'll be all right. Right? Okay. That was a really short chapter. All right, so let's go to the last chapter for today, y'all. Numbers chapter 18. Then Yahuwah said to Aaron, you and your sons and your relatives from the tribe of Levi will be held responsible for any offenses relating to the sanctuary, but you and your sons alone will be held responsible for violations connected with the priesthood. Bring your relatives of the tribe of Levi, your ancestral tribe, to assist you and your sons as you perform the sacred duties in front of the tabernacle of the covenant. But as the Levites go about in all their assigned duties at the tabernacle, they must be careful not to go near any of the sacred objects or the altar. If they do, both you and they will die. Both you and they will die. The Levites must join you in fulfilling their responsibilities for the care and maintenance of the tabernacle, but no unauthorized person may assist you. You yourselves must perform the sacred duties inside the sanctuary and at the altar. If you follow these instructions, Yahuwah's anger will never again blaze against the people of Israel. I myself have chosen your fellow Levites from among the Israelites to be your special assistants. They are a gift to you, dedicated to Yahuwah for service in the tabernacle. But you and your sons, the priests, must personally handle all the priestly rituals associated with the altar and with everything behind the inner curtain. I am giving you the priesthood as your special privilege of service. Any unauthorized person who comes too near the sanctuary will be put to death. Yahuwah gave these further instructions to Aaron. I myself have put you in charge of all the holy offerings that are brought to me by the people of Israel. I have given all these consecrated offerings to you and your sons as your permanent share. You are allotted the portion of the most holy offerings that is not burned in the fire. This portion of all the most holy offerings, including the grain offerings, sin offerings, and guilt offerings, will be most holy, and it will belong to you and your sons. You must eat it as a most holy offering. All the males may eat of it, and you must treat it as most holy. All the sacred offerings and special offerings presented to me when the Israelites lift them up before the altar also belong to you. I have given them to you and to your sons and your daughters as your permanent share. Any member of your family who is ceremonially clean may eat of these offerings. I will also give you the harvest gifts brought by the people as offerings to Yahuwah, the best of the olive oil, new wine, and grain offering. All the first crops of their land that the people present to Yahuwah belong to you. Any member of your family who is ceremonially clean may eat this food. Why is you staring at me about this? You look.
Eat this food. I want my cheesecake.
I ate the most holy portion, right? Even in Israel, he's sitting over here staring.
I want my cheesecake back.
Everything in Israel that is specially set apart for Yahuwah also belongs to you. Are you not set apart for the most holy? He said everything that belongs to him belongs.
It's funny how your read matched up to my cheesecake.
You know, it just happened like
see.
The firstborn of every mother, whether human or animal, that is offered to Yahuwah will be yours. But you must always redeem your firstborn sons and the firstborn of ceremonially unclean animals. Redeem them when they are 1 month old. The redemption price is 5 pieces of silver, as measured by the weight of the sanctuary shekel, which equals 20 gerahs. However, you may not redeem the firstborn of cattle, sheep, or goats. They are holy and have been set apart for Yahuwah. Sprinkle their blood on the altar and burn their fat as a special gift, a pleasing aroma to Yahuwah. The meat of these animals will be yours, just like the breast and the right thigh that are presented by lifting them up as a special offering before the altar. Yes, I am giving you all these holy offerings that the people of Israel bring to Yahuwah. They are for you and your sons and your daughters to be eaten as your permanent share. This is an eternal and unbreakable covenant between you. Let me stop playing. This is an eternal and unbreakable covenant between Yahuwah and you, and it also applies to your descendants. And Yahuwah said to Aaron, you priests will receive no allotment of land or share of property among the people of Israel. I am your share in your allotment. As for the tribe of Levi, your relatives, I will compensate them for their service in the tabernacle. Instead of an allotment of land, I will give them the tithes from the entire land of Israel. From now on, no Israelite except priests or Levites may approach the tabernacle. If they come too near, they will be judged guilty and will die. Only the Levites may serve at the tabernacle, and they will be held responsible for any offenses against it. This is a permanent law for you to be observed from generation to generation. The Levites will receive no allotment of land among the Israelites, because I have given them the Israelites' tithes, which have been presented as sacred offerings to Yahuwah. This will be the Levites' share. That is why I said they would receive no allotment of land among the Israelites. Yahuwah also told Moses, give these instructions to the Levites. When you receive from the people of Israel the tithes I have assigned as your allotment, give a tenth of the tithes you receive, a tenth of the tithe to Yahuwah as a sacred offering. Yahuwah will consider this offering to be your harvest offering, as though it were the first grain from your own threshing floor or wine from your own winepress. You must present 1/10 of the tithe received from the Israelites as a sacred offering to Yahuwah. This is Yahuwah's sacred portion, and you must present it to Aaron the priest. Be sure to give to Yahuwah the best portions of the gifts given to you. Also, give these instructions to the Levites. When you present the best part as your offering, it will be considered as though it came from your own threshing floor or winepress. You Levites and your families may eat this food anywhere you wish, for it is your compensation for serving in the tabernacle. You will not be considered guilty for accepting Yahuwah's tithes if you give the best portion to the priest. But be careful not to treat the holy gifts of the people of Israel as though they were common. If you do, you will die. All right, beautiful people. So that is our reading for today. In Numbers, let's go ahead and hop on over here to the Legends of the Jews. Yeah, he wants 100-fold return, Dana. I just I told him it was the most holy offering. Okay, y'all. Shalom, shalom, Joanne. Okay, I'm gonna have to look through it, Aliyah. Okay. Wait, are you talking about this book where you was looking for it? Make a comment. Now I'll look back up. All right, y'all. So we left off on page 286 yesterday, and yesterday we read about the attributes of Yahuwah, how the second tables were issued, and the inscrutable ways of the Most Holy, right? So we're picking back up today. If you have the smaller book, volume 3, the title, the subheading is The Census of the People. And if you have the same book I have, it is page 286. Okay, I'll check it out afterwards today. And I'll make myself a comment. Right. Okay, I'll leave it in the comment section today because after I end the chat, I can no longer respond here. So it'll be in the comment section today. So I'll post it there. So when you get a chance, you can go back and look for it. All right, y'all. The census of the people. At the sight of the rays that emanated from Moses' face, the people said to him, we are humbled by Yahuwah we are humbled by Yahuwah owing to that sin we had committed. Yahuwah, thou sayest, have forgiven us and is reconciled to us. Thou, Moses, were included in our humiliation, and we see that he has once more exalted thee, whereas, in spite of the reconciliation with Yahuwah, we remain humble. Hereupon Moses betook himself to Yahuwah and said, when thou did humble them, thou did humble me also. Hence should thou now raise them too, if thou hast raised me? Yahuwah replied, truly, as I have exalted thee, so I will exalt them too. Record their number, and through this show the world how near to my heart is the nation that before all others acknowledge me as their king, singing by the Red Sea. This is my God, and I will exalt him. Excuse me. I need a sip of water now. Hold on. Okay. All right. Truly, as I have exalted thee, so will I also exalt them. Record their number, and through this show the world how near to my heart is the nation that before all others acknowledge me as their king, singing by the Red Sea. This is my God, and I will exalt him. Moses then said to Yahuwah, O Lord of the world, thou hast so many nations in the world, but thou carest nothing about recording their numbers, and only Israel dost thou bid me to count. Yahuwah replied, all these multitudes do not belong to me. They are doomed to the destruction of Gehenna, but Israel is my possession. And as a man most prizes the possession he paid for most dearly, so is Israel most dear to me, because I have with great exertions made it my own. Moses further said to Yahuwah, O Lord of the world, to our father Abraham, thou made the following promises. And I will make thy seed as the stars in the heavens. But now thou biddest me number Israel. If their forefather Abraham could not count them, then how should I? But Yahuwah quieted Moses, saying, thou needest not actually count them, but if thou would determine their number, add together the numerical value of the names of the tribes, and the result will be their number. And truly, in this way did Moses procure the sum total of the Jews, which amounted to 60 myriads, less 3,000, the 3,000 saving having been swept away by the plague and the punishment for their worship of the golden calf. Hence the difference between the number at the exodus from Egypt, when Moses had counted them for the first time, and the number at the second exodus after the losses incurred by the plague. Yahuwah treated Israel as did the king his herd, who ordered the shepherds tell the tale of the sheep when he heard that the wolves had been among them and had killed some, having this reckoning made in order to determine the amount of his loss. The occasion on which, in the course of history, Israel were numbered are as follows. Jacob counted his household upon entering Egypt. Moses counted Israel upon the exodus from Egypt and after the worship of the golden calf, and at the arrangement into camp divisions, and at the distribution of the promised land. Saul twice instituted a census of the people. The first time when he set out at Nahash, the Ammonite, and the second time when he set out in war upon Amalek. It is significant of the enormous term and the prosperity of the Jews during Saul's reign that at the first census, every man put down a pebble so that the pebbles might be counted. But at the second census, the people were so prosperous that instead of putting down the pebble, every man bought a lamb. There was a census in the reign of David, which, however, not having been ordered by Yahuwah, had unfortunate consequences both for the king and for the people. Ezra instituted the last census when the people returned from Babylon to the Holy Land. Apart from these 9 census, Yahuwah will himself count his people in the future time when their number will be so great that no mortal will be able to count them. There was an offering to the sanctuary connected with the second census in Moses' time, when everyone above 20 years of age had to offer up half a shekel. For Yahuwah said to Moses, they indeed deserve death for having made the golden calf, but let each one offer up to the eternal atonement money for his soul, and in this way redeem himself from capital punishment. When the people heard this, they grieved greatly, for they thought, in vain did we exert ourselves in taking booty from the Egyptians, if we are not to yield up our hard-earned possessions as atonement money. Hold on. In vain did we exert ourselves in taking booty from the Egyptians, if we are not to yield up our hard-earned possessions as atonement money. The law prescribes that a man pay 50 shekels of silver for dishonoring a woman, and we who have dishonored the word of Yahuwah shall have to pay at least an equal amount. The law, furthermore, listen here. Okay, let's go back. Okay. The law prescribes that a man pay 50 shekels of silver for dishonoring a woman, and we who have dishonored the word of Yahuwah, we should have to pay at least an equal amount. The law furthermore decrees that if an ox kill a servant, his owner shall pay 30 shekels of silver. Hence, every Israelite should have to discharge such a sum, for we changed our glory into the similitude of an ox that eateth grass. But these 2 fines would not suffice, for we slandered Yahuwah, who brought us out from Egypt, by calling out to the calf, This is thy God that brought thee up out of Egypt. And slander is punishable by law with 100 shekels of silver. Yahuwah, who knew their thoughts, said to Moses, Ask them why they are afraid. I do not ask of them to pay as high a fine as he who dishonors or seduces a woman, nor the penalty of a slanderer, nor that of the owner of a gorging ox. All that I ask of them is this. And hereupon he showed Moses at the fire a small coin that represented the value of a half shekel. This coin, each one of those who had passed through the Red Sea was to give as an offering. There were several reasons why Yahuwah asked particularly for the value of half a shekel as a penalty. As they committed their sin, the worship of the golden calf, in the middle, that is, the half of the day, so they were to pay half a shekel. And furthermore, as they committed their sin in the 6th hour of the day, they were also to pay a half shekel, which is 6 grains of silver. This half shekel, furthermore, contained 10 gerahs, and is hence the corresponding fine for those who trespass the 10 commandments. The half shekel was also to be an atonement for the sin committed by the 10 sons of Jacob, who sold their brother Joseph as a slave, for whom each had received half a shekel as his share. All right, so we're going down to the next section, the erection of the tabernacle commanded. When on that memorial day of atonement, Yahuwah indicated his forgiveness to Israel with these words, I have forgiven them according to as I have spoken. Moses said, I now feel convinced that thou hast forgiven Israel, but I wish thou would show the nations also that thou art reconciled with Israel. For these were saying, how can a nation that heard Yahuwah's word on Sinai, that shall have no gods before me, and that 40 days later called out to the calf, This is thy God, O Israel, expect that Yahuwah would ever be reconciled to them? Yahuwah therefore said to Moses, As truly as thou live, I will let my Shekinah dwell among them, so that all may know that I have forgiven Israel. My sanctuary is in their midst. My sanctuary in their midst will be a testimony of my forgiveness of their sins, and hence it may well be called a tabernacle of testimony. The erection of a sanctuary among Israel was begun in answer to a direct appeal from the people who said to Yahuwah, O Lord of the world, the kings of the nations have palaces in which are set a table, candlesticks, and other royal insignia, that their king may be recognized as such. Shalt not thou too, our king, redeemer, and helper, employ royal insignia, that all the dwellers of the earth may recognize that thou art their king? Yahuwah replied, My children, the kings of flesh and blood need all these things, but I do not. For I need neither food nor drink, nor is light necessary to me, as can well be seen by this, that my servants, the sun and the moon, illuminate all the world with thy light, that they receive from me. Hence ye need do none of these things for me, for without these signs of honor, will I let all good things fall to your lot in recognition of the merits of your fathers? But Israel answered, O Lord of the world, we do not want to depend on our fathers. Doubtless thou art our father, though Abraham be ignorant of us, and Israel acknowledge us not. Yahuwah hereupon said, If you now insist upon carrying out your wish, do so, but do it in the way I command you. It is customary in the world that whoever had a little son cares for him, anoints him, washes him, feeds him, and carries him. But as soon as the son is come of age, he provides for his father a beautiful dwelling, a table, and a candlestick. So as long as you were young, I did provide for you. washed you, fed you with bread and meat, and gave you water to drink, and bore you on eagle's wings. But now that you are come of age, I wish you to build a house for me, set therein a table and a candlestick, and make an altar of incense with it. Yahuwah then gave them detailed instructions for furnishing the tabernacle, saying to Moses, tell Israel that I order them to build me a tabernacle, not because I lack a dwelling. For even before the world had been created, I erected my temple in the heavens, but only as a token of my affection for you will I leave my heavenly temple and dwell among you. They shall make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. So remember how I used to say a lot in the beginning as we're reading through the way this is being taught. This is being taught that we are going to be snatched up out of this world and the world is going to be destroyed, right? But Yahuwah said, no, I'm going to destroy the wicked out of the land and I am going to come and tabernacle among you, right? But we don't get that unless we read it ourselves. And that teaching seems right that we're going to be snatched up out of here if we have grown up inside of church doctrine. And not all of it is wrong, but a lot of it needs to be brought to the table and discussed because it doesn't line up with what Yahuwah has said. And therefore, we must make a decision on whom we are going to believe, right? And remember, we weigh everything against the words of the Most Holy, against the Most High, against Yahuwah, right? Okay, let me go back up here. Yahuwah then gave them detailed instructions for the furnishings of the tabernacle, saying to Moses, tell Israel that I order them to build me a tabernacle, not because I lack a dwelling. For even before the world had been created, I erected my temple in the heavens, but only as a token of my affection for you will I leave my heavenly temple and dwell among you. They shall make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them. At these last words, Moses, seized by a great fear, such as had taken possession of him only on two other occasions. Once, when Yahuwah said to him, let each man give a ransom for his soul. When much alarmed, he said, if a man were to give all that he hath for his soul, it would not suffice. Yahuwah quieted him with the words, I do not ask what is due me, but only what they can fulfill. Half a shekel will suffice. Then again, fear stared at Moses when Yahuwah said to him, speak to Israel concerning my offering and my bread for my sacrifices made by fire. And he said, trembling, who can bring sufficient offerings to thee? Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beast thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. Then Yahuwah again quieted him with the words, I demand not according what is due me, but only that which they can fulfill. One sheep as a morning sacrifice and one sheep as an evening sacrifice. The third time, Yahuwah was in the midst of giving Moses instructions concerning the building of the sanctuary. When Moses exclaimed in fear, behold, the heavens of heavens cannot contain thee. How much less this sanctuary that we are to build thee? And this time, Yahuwah also quieted him with the words, I do not ask what is due me, but only that which they can fulfill. 20 boards to the north, as many to the south, 8 in the west, and shall I then draw my Shekinah together, that it may find room under them. Yahuwah was indeed anxious to have a sanctuary erected to him. It was a condition on which he led them out of Egypt. Yea, in a certain sense, the existence of all the world depended on the construction of the sanctuary. For when the sanctuary had been erected, the world stood firmly founded, whereas until the days it has always been swaying hither and thither. Hence the tabernacle in its separate parts also correspond to the heaven and the earth. Excuse me, that had been created on the first day, as the firmament had been created on the second day to divide the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above. So there was a curtain in the tabernacle to divide between the holy and the most holy. As Yahuwah created the great sea on the third day, so did he appoint the layer in the sanctuary to symbolize it. And as he had on that day destined the plant kingdom as nourishment for man, so did he now require a table with bread in the tabernacle. The candlestick in the tabernacle corresponded to the two luminous bodies, the sun and the moon, created on the fourth day, and the seven branches of the candlesticks correspond to the seven planets, the sun, Venus, Mercury, the moon, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars, corresponding to the birds created on the fifth day. The tabernacle contained the cherubim that had wings like birds. On the sixth day, the last day of creation, man had been created in the image of Yahuwah to glorify his creator, and likewise was the high priest anointed to minister in the tabernacle before Yahuwah, the creator. All right, where we at? Okay. Oh, so this is chapter 3. Let's see. Okay. So this next section is going into the details of the building of this tabernacle and the consecration of the priest, the songs and the breastplates. Okay. Yeah, 10 crowns. Okay, y'all. Ooh, that's a long section. Let's see. And I'm sitting here going through the pages. I want to see something for this next section that's coming up. Okay. Oh, there's Cora. Okay. Chapter 5. Oh, snap. Okay. But it's okay. It's building up all the smaller parts. Okay. So we may not get to Cora, what we read today in Numbers, for another, maybe like another week, possibly 2. Because we got to read chapter 3 and 4 before we get there. But we just going to keep reading through because I don't want to leave any of the small things out about the building of the tabernacle. And I think that's really important. So let's see. The materials constructed. Let's go ahead and read. We'll start in chapter 3. And we may be able to read these 2 sections. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. We have 46. Okay. Chapter 3, the tabernacle built. The materials for the construction of the tabernacle is the subheading for it. The materials for the construction of the tabernacle. Okay. When, on the Day of Atonement, Yahuwah said to Moses, "Let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them, that the nations of the world might see that he has forgiven Israel their sin, the worship of the golden calf. It was the gold he bade them bring for the adornment of the sanctuary." Yahuwah said, "The gold of the tabernacle shall serve as an expiation for the gold they employed in the construction of the golden calf. Besides gold, let them bring me 12 other materials for the construction of the tabernacle: silver, brass, blue and purple and scarlet, fine linen, goat's hair, ram skins dyed red, and badger skin, and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod and in the breastplate." To these instructions, Yahuwah added these words: "But do not suppose that you are giving me these 13 objects as a gift. For 13 these did I perform for you in Egypt, which these 13 objects now repay. For I clothed you with broidered work, and shod you with badger skins, and girded you about with fine linen, and I covered you with silk. I decked you also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon your arms and chains about your necks, and I put jewels on your foreheads and earrings in your ears, as a and a beautiful crown upon your heads. But in the future world, in return for these 13 offerings to the tabernacle, you shall receive 13 gifts from me, when I shall create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion and upon her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For upon all the glory For upon all the glory shall be a defense. There shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for a covert from storms and from rain. Yahuwah continued, give your contributions to the sanctuary with a willing heart. Do not think that you need to give anything out of your pockets, for all you have belongs to me, through whom you received it in your passage through the Red Sea. When you took their wealth, from the Egyptians, I demanded nothing from the other nations, but from you I do so, because it was I that led you out of Egypt. But you shall erect a sanctuary to me, not in this world only, but in the future world also. At the first Torah dwelt with me. At the first, the Torah dwelt with me, but now it is in your possession. You must let me dwell among you with the Torah. Through the various objects, Yahuwah bade them dictate to the sanctuary. The course of their history was indicated. The gold signified their yoke under Babylon. The heads of gold, the silver pointed toward the sovereignty of Persia and Media, who through their silver tried to bring about the destruction of Israel. Brass stood for the Greek Empire. Like that, this metal is of inferior quality. Its rule also was less significant than that of its predecessors in the sovereignty over the world. The ram skins dyed red indicated the sovereignty of Red Rome. Yahuwah now said to Israel, although you now behold the four nations that will hold sway over you, still shall I send you help out of your bondage. Oil for the light, the Messiah who will enlighten the eyes of Israel, and who will make use of spices for anointing oil, for he will anoint the high priest, that once again I may accept you with your sweet savor. When Moses was in heaven, Yahuwah showed him the tabernacle as well as models for all the holy vessels therein. Hence Moses naturally supposed that he was destined to be the builder of the tabernacle.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But he was mistaken. For when he was about to leave heaven, Yahuwah said to Moses, thee have I appointed king, and it does not behoove a king to execute works in person, but to give people directions. Therefore thou art not to execute the building of the tabernacle in person, but thou art to give them thy directions to be executed. Moses now asked Yahuwah whom he should select as men to carry out his orders, whereupon Yahuwah fetched out of the book of Adam and laid it before Moses. In this book, he found records of all the generations, from the creation of the world to the resurrection of the dead, and the kings, leaders, and prophets set down beside every generation. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, in that hour did I decree every man's calling, and Bezalel was then appointed to his task. Oh my G, can we find this book and take a look? Listen, let me read that again. Hold on. Moses now asked Yahuwah whom he should select as men to carry out his orders, whereupon Yahuwah fetched out the book of Adam and laid it before Moses. In this book he found recorded all the generations, from the creation of the world to the resurrection of the dead. And we know we in between them two. We're not at creation at the start, and we're not quite at the resurrection of the dead. We fall right in between there, like right before the resurrection of the dead, right? And the kings, hold on. In this book, he found recorded all the generations, from the creation of the world to the resurrection of the dead, and the kings, leaders, and prophets sat down beside every generation. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, in that hour did I decree every man's calling, and Bezalel was then appointed to his task. So everybody out here trying to find out what their calling is so they can make it sure. You need to pray and just ask the Most Holy, right? Because he knew it all. He knew the end from the beginning. Everything was recorded. It's written down. You just need to find your place in history in that book. Okay, Pamela Denise Murphy, where she at? Mm-hmm. Oh, there she go. Oh, we're going to set her in this generation right here. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Oh, snap. Right? May Yahuwah reveal that to all of us. Okay, y'all, we already, you know what? Since we brought up Bezalel, let's go ahead. Let's finish this part. Bezalel. And Bezalel was then appointed to his task. Bezalel was, first of all, of a noble line. His father, Hur, was the son of Caleb from his union with Miriam, Moses' sister, that Hur gave his life to restrain Israel from the worship of the golden calf. As a reward for his martyrdom, his son Bezalel was to build the tabernacle, and one of his later descendants, King Solomon, was to build the temple at Jerusalem. Bezalel was not only of a distinguished family, he was himself a man of distinction, possessed of wisdom, insight, and understanding. By means of these three who have created the world, Bezalel erected the tabernacle. Through their aid was the temple complete, and even in the future world will it be wisdom, insight, and understanding. These three that Yahuwah will employ to set up the new temple. Bezalel, furthermore, had wisdom in the Torah, insight into the Halakha, and understanding in the Talmud. But more than this, he was well versed in secret lore, knowing as he did the combination of letters by means of which Yahuwah created the heaven and earth. The name Bezalel, in the shadow of Yahuwah, was most appropriate for this man whose wisdom made clear to him what none could know save one who dwelt in the shadow of Yahuwah. Moses had an instant opportunity of testing the will of Moses had an instant opportunity of testing the wisdom of this builder appointed by Yahuwah. Yahuwah had bidden Moses first to erect the tabernacle, then the holy ark, and lastly to prepare the furnishings of the tabernacle. But Moses, to put Bezalel's wisdom to the test, ordered him to construct first the holy ark, then the furnishings of the tabernacle, and only then the sanctuary. Hereupon, wise Bezalel said to Moses, "O our teacher Moses, it is the way of man first to build his house, only then to provide its furnishings. Thou biddest me first to provide furnishings and then build a sanctuary. What shall I do with the furnishings when there is no sanctuary ready to receive them?" You know, and this reminds me of something. Listen, when I was going to this church, it reminded me of something my old pastor used to say, right? And we had to kind of, and this is something I remember is because it was something we were doing in our younger days of marriage, right? So when we were still being shucks, and this year in September, we will have been married. Well, we will be married 20 years, right? So within our first few years of marriage, it was only the most holy that brought us the help we needed and some of the wisdom, right? Listen. So we was being real foolish with our money, right? We was like calling his parents like every week because we was spending our money foolishly. This was when like food was still kind of low. We was spending on everything except for the things we should have been spending it on, right? Like rent, so we can have a place to stay, right? But we were so worried keeping our little cell phones on and other little small things and paying a light bill. And the pastor said one day, because we was having like a real hard time with our finances, right? We were about to be evicted. So we went to sit down and cry, woe is me. He said, "Okay, tell me what y'all doing with y'all money. What are you doing? Come on, let's talk about all of this. Let's lay it all out, right?" So he said, "Listen, and so I like how he did it sometime. And he will often say, he said, "Listen, what's the use in paying for the utilities when you about to be kicked out the house? Wouldn't it be wise to possibly maybe get an extension, even if you ain't got all the rent? Go talk to your landlord, right? Talk to your landlord. See if you can get an extension so you can pay your rent. At least you're going to have a roof over your head." And at that time, we only had 2 kids, right? He said, "Listen," he said, "because ain't no use in paying Cox and Verizon and HRSD, if you can't stay in a house, like you paying for utilities for a house you about to get kicked out of. He said, so pay your house, pay your rent first, so you have a place to stay. He said, and even if you're sitting in the dark, at least you'll be sitting in the dark together. Like, let me tell you, one time that actually happened too. Let me tell you, is Trina here? Let me tell this story. I just thought about it. It brought this whole thing back to me. Listen, there was one time we did that, right? I had let's see, we weren't living in base housing anymore because we had grown accustomed to having everything just taken out of my check. So when you're having allotments taken out, and I was like, we got married when I was 19. No, I'm sorry. I joined the military when I was 19. We got married when I was 21. So I set up everything on allotment, right? So boom, we ain't got to worry about the rent. Everything's just coming out. But what I realized was we still had like foolish spending habits. But because I wasn't actually having to pull money out and write checks for the bills and stuff, everything was coming out like automatically. We just look, boom, this what's left, this what we got to spend. Because, you know, we had BAH housing, everything was taken care of. We didn't have to worry about that. So we literally paid for our food, our entertainment, and gas to get around, right? So we didn't have to pay any like the major bills because we had it set up to where everything was automatically coming out, right? And I knew for a certain that my paycheck was going to be there. And what was left in the account, that was for us to spend. And so we never really thought about really paying attention to our finances at that time until I was out of the military. And we had to make sure we checked that account, make sure the people being paid their rent and stuff. And we weren't quite doing that so well when I first got out the military, right? So we had these things, these bills and stuff. I'm like, darn, I was like, wait a minute. We're supposed to pay these bills ourselves now, right? So, but anyway, there was one time I brought all that up because there was a time we was about to be evicted from our place, and we had to make the decision. Okay, we got to pay this light bill because we had been paying it, so there was like this big balance on it. It's like, okay, we're gonna either pay our rent, which at that time was only $550, right? Oh my gosh, where are those days, right? So nowhere near close to them. $550 was our rent, right? But we was paying for everything else, and our power bill was about the same price. So it was like, okay, what do we pay? Okay, so let's remember what Pastor said. Okay, if we pay this power bill, we might be on the street. But if we pay the rent, this definitely gonna get cut off because this is the disconnection notice. Like they coming tomorrow, you know. So we decided, let's pay the rent. And we'll work on, maybe we can borrow some money or something to get the power cut back on, right? So we paid the rent. We had a place, right? So we was there, but we was in the dark. They showed up right on time. The Million Power showed up right when they said they was, and they came and cut our power off. Now let me tell you something. Me, I'm just like, whoo, we still got a place to live, right? But my husband was pissed because we was in the dark. So I'm like, well, listen, when we get paid in 2 weeks, or we just don't invite no friends over and stuff. And so, but Elijah and Jeremiah was like 2 years old, right? So he was still at that age where he was sleeping in the bed with us. And this one night we was laying there, we was in the bed, and we had sent, I think Trina here, we sent Elijah. My brother used to come down every summer to stay with us, right? So my little brother was there with us. Elijah was like, okay, if Jeremiah was 2, Elijah was 9. Okay, and so Jonathan was there, and he was like 15, maybe 15 years old, right? So it was like, okay, this is the time to send them over Trina's house, because Trina had her niece and her nephew down from I think Arkansas, and I was like, hey, Trina, I told Trina, like, look, can you come over a couple? Oh yeah, you know, so they was over there, so I ain't had to worry about teenagers in the house. So how come the power ain't on, right? Because I knew that was just gonna piss James off more, but I didn't care. I was just glad we had a place to stay, right? Let me tell you, this one night we was laying in the bed, we was laying in the dark. James was laying there furious about the power being out. And I'm laying there, and I think I pissed him off a little bit more. I said, well, look, babe, look on the bright side. At least we ain't got to worry about them coming to cut our power off no more. Oh, he was so hot with me. I'm like, well, we got to worry about it now. They didn't already cut it off. You know, so now we just got to work out the payment plan when we're going to get it cut back on. Because, you know, when they about to cut something off or you about to get your car repoed, you got all this anxiety. Now you dipping behind corners, hiding your car at people's house and stuff. You trying to steer away from them taking your car. Instead of going to pay them or working out some kind of being honorable, working out some kind of payment plan. Even if you ain't had the money, like, listen, can we work out something? I can give you this here. I don't get paid again to here. But remind you, reality was setting in for us at this time. Like, it was really time to begin being adults, right? I had been in the military, like, seriously, I'm just being honest with y'all, because we was really young, right? We was young and dumb doing foolish stuff. It wasn't until Yahuwah led us to this church where we was there, and there was a lot of young couples our age there. Like, I'd never forget this time. It was the best time of my life, right? And so the pastor used to always, although he wouldn't call us out, he would, and apparently the lot of us there was having the same issues, right? A bunch of young people, y'all need to pay y'all bills, right? So he would directly but indirectly teach us those principles from the pulpit, right? He said, ain't no use in paying your bills if you're going to be living on the street. He said, pay your rent first. There's a proper order to do all things, right? So we learned that principle very early on. We started getting our finances under control, right? So, bless the most holy, we ain't never had to go through that again. But I'm telling you, especially now we got a whole gaggle of kids too. Man, it's not cool being unwise in regards to money, y'all. All right, so I brought all that up to give you an example of this personal understanding of this test that Moses just gave the Bezalel. All right. Moses had an instant opportunity of testing the wisdom of this builder appointed by Yahuwah. Yahuwah had bidden Moses first to erect the tabernacle, then the holy ark, and lastly to prepare the furnishings of the tabernacle. But Moses, to put Bezalel's wisdom to the test, ordered him to construct first the holy ark, then the furnishings of the tabernacle, and then only the sanctuary. Hereupon wise Bezalel said to Moses, "Oh, our teacher Moses, is it the way of man first to build his house?" I'm sorry. It is the way of man first to build his house, and only then to provide its furnishings. Thou biddest me first to provide furnishings, and then build a sanctuary. What shall I do with the furnishings when there is no sanctuary ready to receive them? Moses, delighted with Bezalel's wisdom, replied, "Now truly the command was given just as thou sayest. Wert thou perchance in the shadow of Yahuwah that thou knewest it?" Although Yahuwah knew that Bezalel was the right man for the erection of the tabernacle, still he asked Moses, "Dost thou consider Bezalel suited to this task?" Moses replied, "O Lord of the world, if thou consider him suitable, then surely do I." But Yahuwah said, "Go, nevertheless, and ask Israel if they approve of my choice of Bezalel." Moses did as he was bidden, and the people assented in these words: "If Bezalel is judged good enough by Yahuwah and by thee, or surely he is approved by us." As the builder of the tabernacle, Yahuwah gave Bezalel 5 other names to bear. He called him Reiah, to behold, for Bezalel was beheld by Yahuwah, by Moses, and by Israel as the one who had been decreed for his activity since the beginning of the world. He called him the son of Shabal, because he had erected the tabernacle that towered high like a dove cote. He called him Jahath, the trembler, because he made the sanctuary the seat of the fear of Yahuwah. He called him Ahimai, Ahimai, because through his work, the sanctuary, Israel and Yahuwah were united. And finally, Lahad, as the one who had brought splendor and loftiness. It's a typo, sorry. And finally, Lahad, as the one who brought splendor and loftiness to Israel, for the sanctuary is the pride and splendor of Israel. At the side of Bezalel, the noble Judean worked Aholiab of the insignificant tribe of Dan, to show that before Yahuwah, the great and the lowly are equal. And as the tabernacle rose, thanks to the combined efforts of a Judean and a Danite, so too did the temple of Jerusalem, which was built at the command of the Judean Solomon by the Danite Hiram. as the head workers of the tabernacle were filled with the Holy Spirit of Yahuwah in order to accomplish their tasks aright, so too were all who aided in its construction. Yes, even the beasts that were employed on this occasion possessed wisdom, insight, and understanding. And we are going to stop right there for today, and we're going to pick up tomorrow with the Ark of the Cherubim. All right, y'all, so that's page 290. Okay, y'all. So that was our reading for today. We read Numbers 16, 17, and 18. And in Legends of the Jews, we read pages 286 to page 290. It is Sunday, February the 7th, 2021, day 71 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 740. All right, y'all. I sure hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. Ali, y'all, I'm going to look for that portion about Abel's blood crying out to the Most Holy, and I posted in the comments section, so come back later today and look for it. Just look for it throughout the day. All right, y'all. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do the blessing. Let me pull it up. All right, y'all. Remember, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and his son, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. I know I be overemphasizing these words, but I want y'all to be paying attention to what this says and who we are to be talking to, who our prayers should be directed to, and who is the one that answers our prayers. All right, y'all. So let me go through and double check. Questions. All right. I was reading your comment from earlier about the cheesecake. Give that man a new cheesecake. He about to have a conniption. Okay. All right. Check over here. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. All right. Would it be the Most High himself dwelling with us, or Michael, since he's the one the Most High put in charge of Israel? Yahuwah himself. Yep. At the end of the last great captivity, Yahuwah said he himself again will come down and dwell among us, right? Michael's still going to be here doing what he do for us as directed by the Most Holy, but Yahuwah himself, as I understand it, that's what I read. That's what I understand. All right. Oh, his name Bezalel, which sounds like embezzlement, which the heathens turned it to be the meaning of stealing and ravage. It could be. I don't know, but it does sound close to his name. All right, y'all. That's it for today. I ain't got nothing else. I will see you tomorrow morning. Remember, it's Monday, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time during the week, but on the weekends we sleep in just a tad bit longer. So we'll start at 7:30 on Saturday and Sunday, and whatever day the Sabbath lands on, we rest and we won't be here on that day. All right, y'all. Thank you all for joining today, and I'll see y'all bright and early tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Boo.